Thanks for watching another episode of Wealth Coffee Chat. Welcome to Wealth Coffee Chats, folks, for your daily live updates. Get the most out of today's episode by participating in the chat. Make sure you ask some questions, be part of the conversation, have a bit of fun, grab a coffee or a tea, take some notes, and get ready to start your day, folks. Quick few housekeeping rules, though. No spamming, no advertising or self-promotion in the chat. That's not on. Be kind and respectful to everyone when participating. And most of all, have a good time. Real estate investing can be your biggest asset. It also can be your most expensive asset when it comes to getting it right or getting it wrong, folks. It can be time-consuming, stressful, and that's why here at Positive, we have what's called a 6-star team, a full-service team that provides integrated wealth and property investing solutions and services simply designed to help you progress towards your goal of passive income through your property portfolio, folks. Make sure you check out our other podcasts on the Positive Mentor Network. Not only is there Wealth Coffee Chats, there's the Urban Property Investor. Drops every Wednesday with straight talking investing strategies and lessons with Sam Saggers. Property Investor Tales. This is where our clients, you guys, share real life stories from property investing, hosted by some of our advisors and strategists. And that's done every fortnight, dropping every Monday. Wealth, Wine and Wisdom, folks, that debriefs the week that was in the world of finance and property, hosted by yours truly, Jason Witten and Andy Fenton on Fridays. Hey, good morning, folks.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chat.
Hope you're well, folks, wherever you are.
There it is, team. Morning. Morning, wherever you're tuning in from today.
Early bird gets the worm, they say. Here at Positive, we offer a 6-star team. It's a team that help you at every stage of your wealth creation journey.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Friday's edition, Finance Friday's edition of the Wealth Coffee Chat. So, how many mortgage brokers does it take to change a light bulb? None. They just refinance the socket. I've been away for a week and we've been talking about rate drops, and it's actually happened. So that's great news. 3 out of the 4 banks will be dropping their rates actually today, which is a lot earlier than I expected, but that's great news for everybody. What I do want to make sure is that if you guys have loans, make sure that you check that the rates have actually come down, as well as checking your repayments. Because as I previously stated, the repayments don't automatically get adjusted with all the lenders. Most lenders will require you to actually request them to recalculate the monthly repayments based on the new interest rate. So that's something to keep in mind. Morning, Rosie. Morning, Justin. Thanks for joining me this morning. And some other great news, Queensland government has axed stamp duty for all first home buyers purchasing a new property starting from the 1st of May 2025. Now, this is regardless of the price. So in the past, the full waivers was up to 700,000, and there was a concession between 700 and 800,000. So regardless of what the purchase price is or what the build price is, the Queensland government are waiving that for all first home buyers. The other great thing that Queensland are doing at the moment, and it looks like they're doing some really great things, is that first home buyers can now rent out a room on the property while still be able to claim the stamp duty concessions. So if you're in Queensland, definitely take a look at that. Both the stamp duty concessions and the ability to rent out room which enables you to manage your cash flow better once you purchase the property. Now, one of the things that myself and my team have been talking about over the last couple of weeks is the valuations. Morning, Courtney. Morning, Luke. Thanks for joining. Low valuations are one of the hardest things brokers have to manage because it's completely out of our control. Once the valuation comes in, the banks will use that valuation. And I've never been able to argue with a valuer to get a valuation increased. So it is one of our biggest challenges. So I wanted to talk today about how we actually prepare for potential low valuations, especially when we're looking at off-the-plan purchases. Now, we all know that property is a long-term game, and you've got to be looking at holding the property for a certain amount of time. As Jason always says, buy well, don't sell. And the property market will always go through its ups and downs. So there are going to be moments where we get into the market and the market could potentially still be dropping and still adjusting. And so valuations, if you're purchasing a property off the plan and it could be 12 to 24 months away, there is a possibility that the valuation on that property may come in low at settlement. Now remember, this is at settlement. It could springboard and the value of the property could increase 3 to 5 years down the track. But at settlement, we've obviously got to make sure that we purchase the property and be able to proceed with settlement. So how do we prepare for these low valuations? The fact that we have a lead-in time, whether it's 12 or 24 months, means that we can start thinking about saving and creating a buffer during that time so that should valuations come in low, you've got some funds there and some flexibility to be able to work with your brokers to get the lending you need to complete the purchase. Now, I'll just give you some background in regards to valuations. In the past, lenders had annual valuers, and then we requested valuations from the lenders. And we could actually, depending on how relationships with the lender, we could actually request different lenders to look at different properties. These days, most of the banks are actually using CoreLogic as the valuation service, which means that we submit a valuation request through CoreLogic on behalf of the bank, and the system then allocates that valuation request to a valuer, which means that there is a system there that actually decides who gets the valuation, and we actually have no control over that. And it can be super frustrating sometimes. Sometimes we're trying to get a different valuer, and we will have multiple team members or multiple attempts at playing, I suppose, or understanding the system so that we can get a different valuer and potentially get a better result for our clients. We have cases where the difference in valuations can be up to $100,000 between values. Now, most people would think like that's quite ridiculous, in my opinion, because how can the same property be looked at in two completely different ways with $100,000 difference? But it does happen. And we have as a team have in the past provided a valuation of somebody who was $100,000 more to the lower valuer because we needed to go to that particular bank. And the second valuer just said no. Like there was no, we'll look at it, there was no, let's reassess it and any of that. It was literally a no, we're not. So that's how little control brokers have when it comes to valuations for the majority of lenders. Okay. So with that knowledge, how do we, as brokers and as clients, prepare for potential low valuations? Generally, we will have an idea of where the market is heading, and with your team that's helping you acquire these properties, they will be able to give you an idea of where the market is heading. And we can have a conversation anywhere between a 5% to a 15% buffer, depending on which market you're going into. Now, the key to this is when you decide that you're going to put money aside for this buffer, that you don't touch it. And sometimes putting it in offset accounts means you can see it, which means potentially you'd want to be able to use the funds for other things that are going on in your life. So one place we can put the buffer is in your current offset account, especially if you have a home loan, which means that buffer is actually helping you reduce the interest on your home loan and actually helping you pay it off faster. Once it gets to settlement, we can do debt recycling and use the funds in the offset account to help fund the shortfall at settlement if needed. Now, in the case where everything goes well, what you've done is you've actually started saving your deposit for your next investment property. So I guess there's two benefits to that is, you're saving to make sure that should something happen, you've got the funds there. If nothing happens, valuation comes in at the purchase price, then you've already started saving for your next investment property, which means it's a great time for you to sit down with your broker and go, okay, now I've saved this amount of money, and we go through this debt recycling process. How much can I borrow for the next investment property purchase? So that would be my recommendation especially when we're talking about purchasing off the plan and how we can prepare for a settlement. Let's not wait until 3 months before the property settles to start having a conversation about putting yourself in the best position to ensure that the settlement proceeds and there is no, let's just say, hurdles that we haven't accounted for going, at the very beginning. Along with that, the other place you can actually put the buffer, if you don't want to put it in an offset account, is that to actually put it in the loan. Most variable loans have redraw. If you've got the funds in there, you can always put the funds in there, and potentially you don't see it, which means there's less likelihood of you touching it. And at settlement, you can always arrange for those funds to be drawn back out. Now, some other great news this week was Westpac and NAB have introduced multiple offsets accounts. So in the past, they've only had one. Now, they're offering up to 10 offset accounts, which potentially means that you could assign a specific offset account for the buffer for settlements on your investment property. And you know that particular account, you won't touch the money in there. Okay? Luke, is it difficult to buy a deposit bond for an off-the-plan purchase versus using cash? Do most developers take deposit bonds? I can't speak on behalf of most developers, but I do know that there are quite a few developers who accept a deposit bond. Now, I may leave this for another Will's Coffee chat later, but just to give everybody a broad overview, a deposit bond is essentially unsecured guarantee from a lender that covers the 10% of the purchase. Of the purchase price of the property you're looking to buy. How the deposit bond lenders calculate that is they look at the value of, the available equity that you have on your existing property. And depending on how long the term is, it may be 2 times the deposit bond, up to 5 times the deposit bond if it's a longer off the plan purchase, which means that we have to show that you've got equity, enough equity to cover that requirement from the deposit bond for them to be able to be comfortable issuing that. Is it difficult to get a deposit bond? No. It's not difficult to get the deposit bond. It's the question of whether that particular developer is comfortable enough to accept the deposit bond. We've had cases where they've been able to accept deposit bonds, but only up to, for a certain amount of properties before they require, the rest of the buyers to have cash. Right. Thanks everybody for joining me this Friday. I hope everybody has a wonderful Friday and an amazing weekend, and I will catch up with you guys next week.
Thanks for watching another episode of Wealth Coffee Chat, folks. Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you never miss a thing when we go live. Improve your portfolio and investing game, folks, with Wealth Coffee Chats live every morning at 8:10 each weekday. Make sure you join us. Previous episodes are also available wherever you get your podcasts, folks, as well as our other podcasts from the 6-Star team here at positivementor.com.au.